and I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and this is our last episode of 2024. It's hard to believe that we're at the end of the year, but I'm really excited about that. We'll take a couple weeks off for the holiday season, and then we'll be back in January. So we got lots to pack in today. Mayor Concannon will be joining us in a minute, but first up, I've got two friends who've been hanging out at my desk today, and we're going to talk about some veteran things. So Anthony Langone and Bob Davis. Both really valuable parts of our team in different ways that help support veterans in our community. And I'm thrilled to have them both here. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Always. You know, one of the things that we've talked a little bit about in the past, and we certainly talked about at recent city council meetings and things, is that we have some good tax abatement programs for veterans. And, you know, abatement is a word that some people don't know what that is. So, Bob, maybe you can just, talk a little bit about what that means and what we currently have available for veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So currently right now, we have obviously a tax abatement program that's ran through the city. Anyone that would be service connected from 10% all the way up to 100%. 10%ers right now currently get a $400 tax abatement. The 100%ers are $1,000 on their end. And obviously we know that the HERO Act was just passed in August. I believe it was August 8th, August 9th of 2024. That also helps us out tremendously with some of the benefits that we can offer. So currently, like we said, we offer an excise that would go through the RMV. The HERO Act did away with that. So right now, automatically, as soon as the HERO Act was passed, any 100% veteran or the dependent surviving spouse who is eligible for that would receive that abatement as well.
And just for those who might not be familiar with what abatement basically means, it's taken off their bill. So it's a reduction in their property tax bill or their excise tax bill, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So then with the HERO Act, obviously that would be worked through the assessor's office. Everything the veteran would come to me, see if we're eligible. And either way, they can go through the assessor's office or my office to see if they're eligible for the program, bring their paperwork in. So right now, currently, that excise tax would be wiped out completely for just the veterans excise tax. And the family, obviously, we know, some families going to have 3 and 4 excise tax, just the excise tax on that. And then obviously the same thing with their regular tax abatement for their property taxes. They bring in their awards letter, again, 10% up to that $400 would come off of that. And they just bring that into the assessor's office with their award letter.
That's fantastic. Thank you for making it easy for people to do that. Anthony, I just want to talk a little bit more about the HERO Act. So we talked a little bit about the things that are currently in place. The HERO Act also allows us to do some new things that we as a city might consider. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what those things are, and then we can talk a little bit about the process we would, as a city, have to go through to adopt them.
Yeah, this is a conversation that's now happening across the country. I think part of what the United Veterans Council and Bob and I are doing is really trying to start the conversation here. And through the new clauses, to just try to simplify it, it basically can help tie into a cost of living increase each year. So the city will have to vote on this individually when they decide to adopt. Now there's 2 new options that are available for towns and cities to adopt. And one of those is that cost of living increase that's determined by the Department of Labor each year. The other is an additional abatement, basically matching what a person might get. So if a person, like Bob mentioned earlier, $400, if the city decides to opt into an option, matching it at 100, they would get an additional 400, making it an $800 abatement. So those are 2 of just the new options available. It just adds to a toolbox the city can use to provide some much needed tax relief to veterans, surviving spouses. And a lot of these veterans are also seniors, if you look at the data too. So that's another option for our seniors as well.
Excellent. Bob, do you want to talk us through a little bit of what the process will look like here in Woburn for us to make decisions about when and if we adopt those additional measures?
Sure, absolutely. So the preliminary discussions are already speaking with the assessor's office. So there would be 3 local options that we could look at, kind of go through, look at the deltas and the positives on those. It'd be a 10% increase. So right now, currently, we keep throwing out that 400 number. So we use the 400 number as an example. 10% increase, those veterans would now receive $440. A 50% increase, and that's again a local option, then the veteran will receive a $600 abatement, right? So then we go down to the 100%, that $400 would now move to $800.
Excellent. And so these are things that over the next few months our city council will review and, with community input, decide upon, of course, with, input and data from our assessor's office and others.
Yep, absolutely. And this will go into fiscal 26. The only automatic right now, as we already discussed, is the excise. The excise is already up, already adopted, already run.
We like easy.
Yes, we do.
That's great. It's nice to see that something was in there that was incredibly easy for us to implement. I appreciate that. Now, I know we're talking about tax abatements and things, but we all, as we end the year and people start thinking about taxes, it's always top of mind. But we also have some other things and services that I just thought would be a good opportunity to remind people things that we offer to support veterans and even some things around the holidays.
Yeah, sure. So there's another piece to the HERO Act that I missed that one. There is another piece to that.
Yeah.
So the other piece is the state annuity. Any veteran right now that's 100% and or a surviving spouse that's eligible for it. Right now it's $2,000. The HERO Act increased that to $2,500. We haven't looked at veterans benefits in over 15 years between towns, local municipalities, etc. So they upped that to $2,500. How that'll work this year is we fill out the application for the annuity by December 31st for the February payment. The February payment this year will be $1,250. Moving forward in August, they usually pay 2 payments. The state is going to cut that back to 1 payment of $2,500, and that will start going August of 25.
That's fantastic.
It's a wonderful, yes, it is. Certainly is.
We definitely don't want to forget that one.
No, we don't.
That's a good one.
And it's particularly a lot of our newer folks, and God forbid it's a DIC. These are things that it will not be discussed because it's a federal benefit. The annuity is a state benefit. They get the 100%, they get their DIC, and that's all they think they're getting. It's not, that's not the case. So the annuity is a big one on that.
Excellent. And Bob, I know we have some Christmas trees that have been donated. I thought maybe this is a good opportunity to remind people of those.
We've given a number away to our veterans already. I have a number left up at the senior center. I know Paul Medeiros up at the senior center is going to put something out to the general public as well. But be my guest, we have them up at the office. I'd love to have them not go to waste and get them to any families in need. We know the price of Christmas trees, and you're more than welcome at my office. I probably have about 15 to 20 left right now. That's
fantastic. I think that's a great thing that we can offer. Anthony, before I let you both go, I know that you look at not just the Woburn community, but in your work, you're looking at other communities and what's happening across the state. Anything that, you want to sort of point out things that we should be more thinking about or things that we're doing particularly well, that just lessons we can pull out of your brain from what other people are doing?
Yeah, I'd say to start, we have a full-time veteran team. What I'm learning as we're kind of pulling all this data together is that not every community has a full-time agent. So I think that's something the city right on its face is doing to provide for the veterans here. And separately, I think as we kind of having these community conversations is a huge start. They're not happening everywhere. We're very proactive here and we're receptive. And I think that's a great way just to kind of get the ball rolling here and explore some of these options that the state is providing. Obviously, right now, the big push is the HERO Act, ensuring it's implemented before July 1st. But we're having this conversation here on the city council level with the mayor's office. And I think that's just a great start. And we're a Purple Heart City. I feel like that needs to be highlighted more often here. It just shows how Woburn kind of steps up for its veteran community and recognizes that service and sacrifice. So. Very well said.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are really lucky. And for anybody that hasn't worked with Bob, I hope most of our veterans already know you and have leveraged your resources, but I know that's not, not everybody knows about it. So we're really lucky to have you here. Even if they've met you before, but haven't been around in a while, they should check in, see if there's anything new that they can leverage that they might not know about. Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Exactly. One of the other things I think is really important that I've learned very recently, Bob, working with you, is I didn't realize how much you support families of, widows or families of veterans. And so it's not only the person that served, but their families that have access to things. And so I think it's really important we help spread the word about that as well and make sure that those folks know to check in with you. Excellent. Thank you both for joining us. And it's really important conversation. I'm really proud of the work we do here in our community to support veterans. And I love that both of you are helping us be proactive as we look forward.
Oh, that was a really valuable conversation about veterans and how we help support them in our community. It's always something that I'm really proud that we do a good job of and are always looking for ways to do more. Next up, I'd like to welcome Mayor Concannon. Welcome, Mike. Thank you for going out of order a little bit today and allowing us to chat with those gentlemen while they were in the office.
Absolutely. Hi, Samantha. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a busy day in the city. I know we started our day together this morning at the Goodyear School, which was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. We had a good time over there recognizing the character Congress winners. The trait was honesty. It was a very impressive ceremony, and always love visiting the schools.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. It dawned on me, this shouldn't be surprising to anyone, especially to you and I, but it's felt like a fast year. We're almost a year in your office as mayor. Obviously, it's been a little over a year
Yep.
since you won the election, but since you actually officially took office, as
Right.
you're looking back on the year and reflecting on this first year, any thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. Over the weekend, I was asked a couple of times, how's it going? How's it been going? And I said, this is most definitely the fastest year of my life. But it's going great. I'm really enjoying the job. There has not been a single boring day since we started on January 1st. And yeah, we're coming up on a year now. I'm actually beginning to prepare some state of the city remarks. I promised the city council that my state of the city speech will not be as long as my inaugural address. But there's a lot to highlight. There's a lot that's been going very well. So I am looking forward to present that to the city council. But in general, my main reflection over the past year is just the high opinion that I've had of the city of Woburn my whole life. I've been here my whole life, has been reaffirmed this past year. I always knew this was a special place, a great place to live and work and raise a family. And I knew a whole lot of the people that made it so, the city employees and the community groups and the service organizations and the religious groups and all the people that make Woburn special. I had a pretty good handle on how everything was going here in Woburn, but I learned even more in the last year. And I can just tell you that it's been reaffirmed day after day after day how special it is, how great the people are, how much everybody is willing to step up all the time in every instance to try to help out their fellow Woburnites and to make this a special place. So I guess my message, after year one, is that all the good things I was saying about Woburn over the years are true, and probably even more so. So that's my take.
I love it. I definitely share that sentiment. I didn't have as much of an inside perspective. You had sat on city council for quite some time before leading up to the mayoral position, and I didn't have the benefit of officially working in any capacity for the city prior to taking this job. And it's been a real pleasure to honestly say I really enjoy all the folks who work really hard across our community and our city. And I had hoped that would be the case, but
Yep.
it's nice to really see that in action. And and everyone is always looking for ways to get better. And
Yeah.
that's a big piece of, sometimes it's easy to sort of fall into routine. And I think it's wonderful that over the last 11 months now, people have really taken a look at all the things they're doing and they're constantly evaluating what we might be able to grow and change and do differently.
Yeah, the level of commitment, not just on the city's workforce, but all the volunteers and all the
Mhm.
groups, it's really impressive. It's heartwarming and it just makes you feel glad to be from Woburn.
Absolutely. We held a town hall last week. Thank you for answering all the questions that people brought to the community. It's always interesting for me to see what people ask about, what's top of mind. And one of the things that you let people know and to remind them that they can submit questions for today in Woburn. And Mark listened to you. Mark sent in a question that I want to share with you today that I really
Okay.
appreciate that. And Mark was asking us about Forest Park. Sort of his general observation is this beautiful space we have in the community. That it wasn't clear who was responsible for upkeep of that space, and that over time it seems to have gotten less attention than some other areas in the community, like Horn Pond, and wants to see us make the most of this, donated open land and make sure it's getting its full potential. So wanted to see if you had some thoughts about that.
Yeah, I know the area pretty well, Forest Park. As a youngster, I had a lot of friends that lived in the area, and we spent a lot of time over there. Of course, I spent a lot of time at Weaver Park, the baseball field at the I guess the northeast section of Forest Park. It is a nice spot in the center of our city, a more natural state than a lot of the open space in the city. Again, you've got Weaver Park on the edge, you've got the fire station on the other edge, but the heart of the park in the middle, it's really just natural trails and forest, which is really nice. And I guess for that reason, maybe it doesn't get as much daily or weekly upkeep as many of the other spots in Woburn. Obviously, all the people who walk down the pond, we're always getting input from those folks on ways to improve the area, what else needs to be done, and just general maintenance ideas. We tend not to get as much from the folks who visit Forest Park, but I think when we do, we try to act on it. The short answer to Mark's question is that for the most part, the heart of Forest Park would be under the control of the DPW for major tree limbs being removed or things like that. But we also rely on our partners, whether it's conservation or the Parks Department, or some of the volunteer groups like Little League Baseball to help us out with some of the other surrounding areas. So like so many things in the city, it's a partnership. But I touched on this at one of our previous conversations about an ongoing project we have in the city where we're gathering all those different groups together to try to figure out who actually does do what right now, and maybe finding ways to improve that, maybe reallocate responsibilities from one department to another or one group to another. So Forest Park is certainly on the list of places we're looking at. So if there's more of an opportunity for parks to get involved or conservation or even some of the other entities in town, that's exactly the purpose of this discussion. So hopefully when we're done with this little research project, we'll have a better plan going forward to make sure that everything's getting the attention it needs, nothing's falling through the cracks, and we're more responsive when people point out issues.
That's excellent. Thank you for answering that. I'm sure Mark will appreciate that update, and hopefully we'll stay in touch with people about what we're doing there and continue to get feedback and ideas like we do in other areas across the city.
Yeah, and I appreciate Mark's questions too. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things that we held, there was a public meeting, gosh, I'm not going to get the date right, so I won't say it, but a few weeks ago where we introduced community electricity aggregation. And we talked about that would be something that we would be rolling out likely in the spring and that we were working towards that. I thought it was a good opportunity now to just give a quick update on what that next step is.
Yeah, so as you said, we opted to pursue community aggregation, which is really just a fancy way of saying that people can buy in as a group, as a collective, to try to perhaps get better rates for their electricity. And we've been working with a consultant that we hired to help us through this process. They're well versed. And we are at the phase now where we have submitted our application to the Department of Public Utilities just to demonstrate that we have a plan. It would follow the normal standard practice, and that we're working with a partner who's experienced. And we expect that hopefully the DPU will bless that plan. But part of that blessing is a public hearing and open process where people can weigh in and offer their comments or suggestions or criticisms to the DPU based on our plan. So we're in that period now. We're in the period where DPU is soliciting comments on our plan, and there is a public hearing. There's a date. I have to look at my notes. December 18th, Wednesday, December 18th. There's a virtual public hearing. I'm sure we can put that information up here as part of the show. But in the meantime, there's also information places where residents and others can weigh in and send their comments to be part of the permanent record as part of this public hearing.
Great, thanks for the update. I think it's good to see this moving forward. This is our last show of 2024, which is kind of hard to believe. We'll come back together again in January. And so thank you for coming on this week, but more importantly, thank you for coming on every week and answering all of our questions, all the questions that I get, and being really open with us. I'm very grateful for that. One event that's coming up I do want to let folks know about is on December 28th. I believe that's a Saturday, at 5 p.m. There will be a menorah lighting ceremony in the Common. That's something, I think this is maybe the fourth year that that's happened, organized this year by Rena and Dale and Julie, who volunteered to make sure we have a festive spirit. It is open to everyone, whether they celebrate it or not, and we look forward to seeing people there.
Yeah, it's a nice night. I've been, I think, since the inception. There's a nice crew there, and the kids all participate. It's a nice event. We try to make sure that everyone's traditions and commemorations are valued here in the city. We actually had as you know, we had an event yesterday, another group in town, Know Your Neighbor Woburn, a holiday festival of sorts where a whole bunch of different traditions were recognized and experienced, and that's a lot of fun too. So I hope people can join us on Saturday, December 28th at 5 p.m. in the Common for the lighting of the menorah. And as you say, this is the last time we'll be talking on Today in Woburn. And so I guess I'd like to extend the best wishes of the city of Woburn to everyone watching and all the residents of Woburn. We hope you have a blessed holiday season, a Merry Christmas. We hope that you get a chance to relax a little bit, recharge your batteries, spend time with friends and family. And, we look forward to a happy, healthy, prosperous 2025. And we'll see you then.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Before we wrap up today, I'm really thrilled to invite Jim Joyce back to the show. Jim has been a frequent guest because he's always putting together fantastic programs. We're really grateful. Welcome, Jim.
Hi, Samantha, and thank you for having me on the show again to talk about our next upcoming program in the Woburn Public Library.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think that there is, when I first moved to Woburn, I'm moving to the city. I'm not expecting to see much wildlife. And it has been many years now, and I'm now used to it. But we had a fair number of coyotes that would come through next to our yard and by. And I was sort of shocked by that initially. It's now been decades, and I'm certainly used to it. But I think maybe it surprises still a lot of people how many are there. Do we have a sense of if the population has in fact grown? Is it shrinking? Is it kind of staying about the same?
Well, I think it's growing, and this is just really just notionally thinking. It seems to be growing, but the range of coyotes is the territorial range is so large. It's 10 to 40 square miles, so there's quite a bit of overlap. It's interesting that we were just talking about Forest Park a little bit, because one of the active coyote dens and groups, packs, if you will, is right up there in Forest Park. I mean, my backyard borders on that. And we have daily visitors that come through, and they go up into Forest Park. But Horn Pond also has a very healthy population of coyotes, and so doesn't the west side. So up in the Lexington Street area, going between Russell Street and Lexington Street, all in that area, there's a pretty good population up that way.
Good. Well, regardless what the numbers are, we know we need to coexist with them. And people have lots of questions about how to remain safe, how to live with them. And you're hosting a session just on that topic. I'm really thrilled. It's January 6th, if I'm correct, at the library. And I think it's Achieving Coexistence with Coyotes, which is a very descriptive and accurate title. And tell us who'll be leading that discussion.
Yeah, so it's the leader of that presentation is Dan Prohl, and Dan is a state coyote certified problem animal control agent, and he's also a state licensed wildlife rehabilitator, and he's very familiar with the west side of Woburn, because we actually were attempting to do a coyote rescue last year of several coyotes that were inflicted with mange. So Dan knows the Woburn area, but he's been very active in the greater Boston, North Shore area, works directly with Mass Wildlife. He's done quite a significant number of coyote interventions around these communities, specifically in Nahant, and you'll learn quite a bit from him about some of the techniques that he has. It's very interactive presentation, very much audience oriented. So it'll be a good presentation for everyone. Folks will learn a lot.
I love that. And I think most of us have experienced firsthand. There aren't a lot of accidents. There certainly aren't, coyotes attacking us, but there are concerns and there's ways that we can remain safe and protect them as well and respect their boundaries. And so I'm assuming those are the kinds of things that we'll cover off during the session together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, that there's always this perception that the coyote is going to attack you, and, it's going to take your dog and this kind of thing. And those fears are certainly, justified. People feel that way, but, the coyote is really more afraid of you than we are of them. And in reality, there's not very many stalking coyotes, and you're going to learn a lot about that. But yeah, it's quite fascinating to really follow them and to learn about their behaviors, which is exactly what you're going to learn about.
Excellent. I love that. What time is the program? I'm not sure I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, so the program starts at 6:30. It's in the Woburn Public Library in the program room. Right now, it's set for 60 seats. I think we're up to about half that are filled right now. Registration is through the library calendar. There's a link to it, and we have a flyer that the public library put together for us. They have it. It's posted up on our Facebook pages, and it's been posted around on quite a number of the resident type pages that are in the city. So it should be a real good one. It's going to run for about an hour and a half.
Excellent. Jim, thank you for bringing that to us, both the program itself and also joining us here today as we talked about it.
Thank you so much. Have a happy holidays to everyone, and Happy New Year too.
Thank you, Jim, for joining us. I think it's really important that we remember how to coexist with our animal friends who live here in Woburn with us and are our neighbors. Before we go, I do want to mention another event that is an important way that we honor an Officer McGuire who was killed on duty at an armed robbery. That happens every year on December 26th. There is a procession of officers who drive by the police department, the Kohl's parking lot where the incident happened, as well as the memorial at the post office. So for those folks who'd like to gather and honor that officer, we invite you to stop by for that. That's important, and I believe that's at 7:30 p.m. As well. So we hope you'll be able to join. And in addition to that, of course, I wish you a very happy holiday season. There's a lot for all of us to be grateful for here in Woburn. We also know that this is sometimes a hard time for many people. So while we won't be taping the show, we will be working. So please reach out if you need something. We have lots of dedicated people in the community who want to be here to support you. I wish you happy holidays, a wonderful start to the new year. I'll see you again on the show in January. And in the meantime, please continue to take good care of each other.